magic books, tantra, occult, spirit world, all that stuff, what I've sort of figured out is that sexual energy attracts spirits.
Ask about Illuminati, since the charting of Peters. Is it Disney mind control? Is this MK Ultra Deluxe? Occult Disney, we go from real to real. Occult Disney, Bohemian Grove and no more real. Occult Disney, ask about Illuminati. Occult Disney, we teach occult to everybody. Occult Disney, the wish upon a star. Occult Disney, you know not to travel far. Oh, Occult Disney, the new brand Pinocchio. Yeah, yeah. Occult Disney, it's a boss over your. Occult Disney, please enjoy the show.
Hello, welcome to the Occult Disney podcast, where we go ransacking through all the haunted mansions that Mickey Mouse lives in. Today it is the Haunted Mansion. Disneyland has been around for 70 years, and we're having a look at the ride-based movies. Is Matt here? Over there, it's Paranoid American. How's it?
It's going great. And down there, we've got Jamie Hanshaw joining us once again to Occult Disney. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to know, when's the last time you guys have been on Haunted Mansion? I'm almost going to guess that Matt's been on it more recently, but I was there, I think 3 or 4 weeks ago.
I was here last week, and I made sure to ride the Haunted Mansion like 3 times.
I knew it.
3 times, yeah, 3 times to So I've got it like locked down right now, yeah.
But you've gone to the Disney Sea version. I went to the Orlando version. And then Jamie, I assume the last time you've been was LA, right? Disneyland.
I've been on that one several times. I might have gone on Orlando once in the past 10 years.
So we've got the full experience though. Like we know enough about Haunted Mansion collectively to be experts on the subject.
Yeah,
I think so. I've read a book on it. People get obsessed with the Haunted Mansion, not necessarily the 2003 movie, which is our primary topic today, but just the ride itself. I mean, that's the one where people are like, you dispose of my ashes in the Haunted Mansion, and then security has to come after them and stuff. But yeah, people have tried to kind of sprinkle some ashes in the Haunted Mansion. So because they want to be the 1,000th soul, right? Now that they actually are dead.
Well, now that you mentioned that, I heard that Walt Disney himself told the BBC that he wanted to build a retirement home for all of the homeless spirits of the world. And that's what the Haunted Mansion was. The
ride attraction was in the process, like even before Disneyland, it was going to be Mickey Mouse Park, just on a plot of land on, next to Disney's Burbank studio, which turned out not to be big enough. He wanted to build it there, and then they're like, half of this is going to have to be parking. He's like, oh crap. So, bought land in Anaheim instead. But yeah, that was supposed to have like a walk-through haunted house. Disneyland did not open with it, but they built the facade for the Haunted Mansion. It was up in like 1962 or something, and it just sat there for 4 years before they actually finished the attraction. It was still going to be a walkthrough when they built the facade, so they had no idea what they were going to do with this thing. And the final product is a little bit after Disney, so it's had a few changes he did not approve. But they went like 10 years being like, oh, he kind of knew this idea was going to happen, so I guess it's still Disney approved, like the Country Bears, He at least knew of the idea.
Well, and they were taking their time getting the lore together, too. They couldn't really decide what the backstory was going to be because a lot of the things they came up with were too spooky.
Yeah, there's Claude Coates is one of the Imagineers, and he's more like, I want to scare the hell out of people and be super creepy. And the ride itself, the first half of the ride is a little bit more Claude Coates. he got his revenge by doing Snow White's Scary Adventures when they opened the Orlando park, because the original version of that is scarier in hell and just has the witch Papillon screaming at you for the most part. So it's all dark. You don't see Snow White. When you go into Snow White's house, you just see the dwarves and terror and all of the anamorphic animals and stuff. So it's like, ah! Tokyo still has this version, except the house is happy now, and they're singing the happy song, and they look happy. We don't get the terrified dwarves, which is a little bit disappointing. But the second half of the ride's more like Mark Davis, so it's more whimsical. He did like the Country Bears and stuff. So that's when the song kicks in. Although that last graveyard scene, you can get a little shock if you're in the right spot. Sometimes those guys popping out behind the grave sites will make you do a little jump, if you didn't notice the car ahead of you got it.
I do like the idea that Disney gets to set the baseline for what's acceptable as scary to children through their movies, TV shows, rides, everything. Like, they're kind of the Pfizer in this space. They are so big that no other company, even if they wanted to dabble and do experiments on what kind of fear levels are acceptable to children, Disney's the only one that has a sample size big enough to actually put that in motion and actually get those measurements. And it's all proprietary information. But it's a wild concept that Disney, through doing that, setting the bar, but now they can also sort of indirectly tell kids and families, here's what's acceptable, here's what's not, here's what's really scary.
Mm-hmm.
They own Indiana Jones now, but if you remember Temple of Doom, that bit Paramount at the time in the butt, because they were like, this is too much. This Temple of Doom is too much for kids. And that movie is rated PG. It's after that we get the PG-13 rating. So I think Red Dawn's the first film to actually that was released with the PG-13. There might have been one that got it before.
I feel like I lived through this. It was the Gremlins movie was another monumental one.
Gremlins was the other big one. Gremlins
and it was PG, right? It was PG movie, and that movie is pretty gruesome.
The Haunted Mansion 2002, I believe, is PG. Well,
you guys remember that extraterrestrial alien encounter ride?
Absolutely.
That would be too scary for anybody.
I actually got a chance to go on that one, and I agree. Like, it wasn't, I wouldn't say too scary for anyone, but for anyone in a Disney park, absolutely, because you're not expecting it to be that intense.
Yeah.
How about the Haunted Mansion? I should apologize. I'm going to slightly apologize. We're talking about the Eddie Murphy one, which is weirdly beloved with, I guess, Zoomers. I didn't really realize this until I was doing my research, but I actually did have time to watch the 2023 one, and I kind of liked it better.
Oh, I have notes on that one if you want to smash them together.
Guys can go. I haven't seen the new one, but feel free to spoil it if you both want to throw in notes on this.
There was a lot in that one, actually.
Yeah.
So Matt, you watched all three then?
Fast. What?
I'll say Matt watched all three then, right? The 2003, the Muppets 2021, and the 2023 remake.
For this, I did not in the past week watch Muppets Haunted Mansion, but that one, since it's come out in 21, that actually has become sort of my like Halloween time thing to watch. Partly because it's only like 45 minutes, so it's not a big commitment. And also I
Hocus Pocus yet?
We haven't done it yet. No.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna do. We have. Yeah, that's called the one for millennials. Apparently, like to Zoomers, the 2003 Haunted Mansion is kind of their Hocus Pocus, right? So,
I feel bad for them. Hocus Pocus is infinitely superior.
I haven't seen Hocus Pocus, to be honest, and I definitely want
to.
Never. No, I want to do it for this podcast for sure. We have more dark Disney in the future.
In my mind, it's like Hocus Pocus, and somewhere above that is Ernest Scared Straight, but they're kind of close to each other.
Yeah.
Ernest Scared Straight's the 10, right?
Ernest Scared Straight is a 10, yes.
What's funny is when I was really little, like 2 or 3 years old, I taught myself how to read with the Walt Disney See and Say little records. Like, you put the record on and then you go through the book and read along, and it says, when you hear the noise, turn the page, right? So I would like lock myself in my room and go through all these Disney books, and you guys like dislodged an old childhood memory with this guy. Do you remember that guy?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I think I actually learned to read the exact same way you're talking about and just didn't think about it till now.
So that was like imprinted in my brain because you were talking about like what's scary, what's not. So he's like pretty scary, but he's also kind of like friendly looking, right?
Because he's
like
smiling. Yeah.
That's the Mark Davis vibe, right? The more whimsical one. Whereas the rattling armored suits and stuff is a little more of the Claude Coates thing for the vibe. So the point of the ride especially has two very competing views on how do we be scary / entertaining and allow kids to be on this thing. So I don't know how. I guess kids could watch the 2003 Haunted Mansion. I mean, they might poop themselves a little bit depending on age. So
was that scary?
Yeah, no major issues. It was a success. I didn't know that. I kind of assumed it was a flop, but it seems to have made double its budget. 90 million budget. That seems a lot for this movie. 182 box office. I guess the flaw. Yeah, the 2023 one has a more interesting story. This is all like real estate. Like you like Eddie Murphy, but you're never gonna like this character. He sucks.
Oh yeah. Well, he has like, an arc to go through because he's your classical distracted dad. He's kind of greedy. He's kind of ambitious. He's kind of neglectful. Not extremely, but this is the lesson that he has to learn to appreciate his wife or whatever. But the credits open up with tarot cards in the very beginning of the 2003 one. So I thought that was interesting. So you're following this path of their story in the tarot cards, and it's like a 1800s, like a Venetian eyes wide shut masquerade ball. That's what you call it, right? So this is the lore behind the Haunted Mansion, and if you go scrolling through videos about the actual ride, they have several different stories and things that they like switch around, and the backstory of what's going on in the Haunted Mansion, who's haunting it, right?
I think that's part of the difficulty about making a movie of the Haunted Mansion. That weird vagueness and abstractness, and someone thought a very detailed story and like 3 details made into the ride kind of helps. Like there's no like strong narrative. So when you're making a movie, now you have to figure something out, Mm-hmm. So starring those 2023 spoilers, the concept I really like there is once you enter the Haunted Mansion, you are now trapped by the ghost host or whatever there. And even if you leave within 24 hours, the hauntings are going to become so bad you have to return. So what the kid goes to school, but he's got to come back, right? He can't go on vacation or anything. They make a point of that. Like, why don't you visit your grandparents? And it's like, well, I can't really.
This is like Hotel California in a way.
Yeah, you can go out for the day. So maybe, I don't know, Hotel California you can never leave, right? So
but that's the same premise, right? Like you can never leave the Haunted Mansion. Even if you leave, you're still there.
Yeah. Or you will be soon the magnetic attraction of her, spiritual magnetism will bring you back.
Or you take the hitchhiking ghost with you on your way out, like they say, right? Like as you're leaving and you're exiting and going back into the sunlight, they say, here's your ghost, and you see one in the carrier with you. Do they still do that?
They do, yeah.
I'm actually searching to see. It's always doesn't work when I try and show images, but I tried to get that shot last week for everyone with my hitchhiking ghost.
My mom.
I tried to shoot a video for content in there, but you can't do it. There's too much music. As soon as you try to do it, because I was in my own doom buggy, right? So I was like trying to, and then as soon as you start talking, it's like the ghost host comes in. And he's in Japanese too to make it like doubly confusing. So I was like, this isn't gonna work. Yeah.
Ghost.
And then what do? Do I just point at things and then just try to BS why there's a conspiracy behind that? I was like, maybe that would be like too jokey and pointless, So I gave up and enjoyed the ride instead.
Well, it definitely is a Calabasas because they call that place where you're entering your little carriage the limbo. So you are in between, the spirit world and the material world.
Right. That's the ride structure has such a good narrative that remains abstract. You go in this facade, there's the stretching room thing, which the point of that was just because the ride's actually outside Disneyland and they have to put you on an elevator to get you out of there, right? And then you're in limbo, which is actually going under the berm of Disneyland is limbo in that case. So it is kind of Disneyland limbo. And the ride itself, it's in a warehouse that's like slightly outside of the park, at least for the California version.
Let me grab my other notebook with the notes.
Okay. The ride also, I think, is a good analogy for a Disney movie itself. Because if you think about it, when you go into a movie theater, into this dark room, it's sort of analogous to going inside of a coffin or going inside of a mausoleum. And then this other movie is played in front of you. It's not your life, but maybe it's like another version of some sort of a life. Like the entire cinematic experience is about dying and then like being reborn with this new information, which is when you like come back out of the theater, and if like the light, it's still light outside, there's that like blinding moment where you're like, oh God, outside world. And I think that has the same sort of impact as going through the motions of you died, like on a subconscious level, you died, here's new information. Okay, now you're reborn again. And I get that same sort of cinematic feeling of like, oh my God, it's so bright outside.
The ride definitely does that. Yeah, the ride for sure does that. I was just thinking because Japan has a weird thing that it's more preferable to see a movie in the afternoon for some reason. So the late show is the cheap one. So I usually see the late show and the matinees are not.
Yeah, it's the opposite here, yeah.
Right, but no, the Haunted Mansion in particular coming out of that is quite blinding if it's a sunny day because,
Also, the ride and the 2003 movie, I don't think it was in the Muppet version, but I guess one of the scary plot lines that's acceptable for kids is suicide, right? Like they for and foremost, they put, not only does the wife drink poison and kill herself, but then the husband is so distraught that he hangs himself. And that's in the Orlando ride, I think in all the rides, where the ceiling gives out and you see a guy hanging from his neck, dead up in the rafters. And I always wonder, like, that might be a little on the line for children. You're bringing them onto this show and they're like seeing this guy hung, or maybe like, I'm not sensitive to it because I was, grew up in the 80s and 90s, but for these new babies coming out, isn't that a little triggering? Like, shouldn't there be a trigger warning on the way into the Haunted Mansion?
In Japan, I don't think anybody cares. I think it's because Japanese folk tales tend to be kind of more horrific. It's like they never really, like, we've kind of like, partly a lot through Disney, we've kind of like, covered up those original Grimm fairy tales a little bit or whatever. But in Japan, there's still like the eyeball kid running around and, the lady with the mask on is going to slash you or something in the middle of the street late at night. Those sorts of things are still like kind of children's stories. So the guy hanging doesn't seem.
Those businessmen on the train might slash you too.
Oh, right. Well, they're slashing your skirt. The lady in the street slashing you. So there's a difference in the stories.
There's also a lot of lover unalivings in these stories of the Haunted Mansion. One of the ladies killed her husbands for pearl necklaces. And the story of the Black Bart pirate. So that's the hanging guy, I think, is the pirate, right?
Well, in the 2003 one, it's the husband of the wife that's so distraught that his wife poisoned herself that he then is melancholy. I don't think he's a pirate.
Right.
I think the pirate version is weirdly like an earlier. I think that was a fleshed out story that did not make it to the final ride and kind of sort of got repurposed for Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, okay. Because the bride in there with the glowing heart on the ride.
That's the bride, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's the story of her and her pirate husband, lover.
It can be, though. That's the fun part about the ride, is that it's so abstract. You're absolutely still correct. I saw it a little differently, maybe because I'm like, well, Pirates is a 5-minute walk from here. That has to be a different story, right? But it doesn't have to be, does it? So that's kind of where it's a little problematic to put a story on the Haunted Mansion. We're doing the Country Bear soon too. That's a little easier because at least you got like this Muppet Show overlay just to bring the Muppets back into it,
There was a scene in the opening of the 2003 one with Eddie Murphy and they have this flyer that was Evers and Evers because they were saying they were like a real estate company. And the first thing I thought of too, Jamie, was when you're talking about this archetype of the overworked, neglectful dad, it reminded me of the Hook movie, because that's what Peter sort of is. He's that exact same character where he loves his family, he's with his family, but he just can't get to the baseball game on time, or he's always closing some deal and doesn't have time for him.
And you have to spend 30 minutes of the movie with him or more before he becomes more fun. So at least in the Haunted Mansion's credit, Eddie Murphy, he comes in with the Eddie Murphy charm. He's, kind of he's a crap person, but
he's too busy to give you that.
Yeah, it's hard for Eddie Murphy not to be at least a little bit charmful. Maybe Norbit didn't work out. I don't remember.
Yeah, he's not a villain. He just has his priorities need to be worked out.
Well, he's trying to make that money because they've got expensive habits. But I was gonna say, like in the beginning of this movie, first there's a hidden Mickey. A kid goes up to this gate, and on the gate there's this padlock, and the padlock has a hidden Mickey in it. I don't know if you noticed that.
Oh yeah, but it says there's 5 in the film. That's the only one I personally noticed. There's also an axe by an animated suit of armor. A third briefly seen when Ramsley poisons a goblet of wine. And there's a few others just in the house. Sorry, I was just looking at the list of hidden Mickey. So
I only saw that one. I didn't pick up on any of the other 4.
Same here.
When we see that first hidden Mickey, then this big ghost flies out of the Haunted Mansion and it scares this kid and he runs off, and the camera pans down and it's got flyers for this Evers and Evers Realty. And I noticed it wasn't one of those 555-1212 numbers, so I called it, because I've learned that ever since the Roger Rabbit Nintendo game that had like a phone number in it, if you actually called it, it would have something there. It's disabled now, but there was also a website that was like eversandevers.com, and I went there, and some smart MFer out there bought that domain when it lapsed, and they've got a Haunted Mansion themed Airbnb out like 15 minutes from Disneyland. So now if you go to eversandevers.com, it points you to this Airbnb. It looks pretty awesome. So I just thought that was really cool that someone actually thought to do that.
Is it on the West Coast or the East Coast?
On the West Coast.
Oh, okay, cool.
Although I wouldn't be surprised if something's on the East Coast as well. This is one of the more boring production stories. It just says in January 2002, it was announced Disney greenlit this movie. Came out the following year. The only big change is they were going to make it look more like the Orlando version and based in upstate New York. And somewhere along the way, they just New Orleans Square, let's put in Louisiana instead. That seems to be the only hiccup in production of this one. The other version spent 13 years in production hell, where Ryan Gosling was going to do it for a while. I guess 2020 got in the way for a while. There's just a whole bunch of, it took them 13 years to make that one, which was nominally better. I think I surprisingly preferred the 2023 one, maybe because I have no nostalgia for the 2003, but I'm still neither of these. The ride is my primary source, and for Halloween, I'll put on Muppet Haunted Mansion.
Did you guys happen to notice the kid's bedroom in the beginning?
I noticed there was one, but what about it?
Well, you can tell a lot about a movie from the decor in the child's bedroom. They always put a lot of Easter eggs among the toys and stuff like that. But in this one, he had Houdini posters and the posters of the classic magicians who, I don't know if you've looked into this or not, but a lot of them say that they got their powers, from little spirits and ghoulies and spiritism. Is that even a word? But when you look at the posters, a lot of them actually have a little devil Easter egg hidden in these classic magician posters. So he had those on the wall. He had your classic solar system, Michael Jordan, stuff like that. He had his not pornography, but it was
Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue to kill a bug. Yes, now I'm remembering more of the stuff.
Well, and not just that, but right at that moment, I didn't even make a note into this until something else came up. But in this crude late 90s, early 2000s way, they were doing this weird wordplay about whack it. He talked about having this Sports Illustrated, and the reason it came up is because there's a spider on the window, and he rolls up this Sports Illustrated, and he's like giving it to his kid, and he's like, "All right, son, like you're gonna have to do this. You have to whack it." And the kid's like, "I don't want to whack it." And he's like, "You better whack it." And then the girl comes in and slaps it on the window. And originally I was like, I'm not going to point that out. That's probably just some weird like connection that they're putting this weird sexual energy. But then when they go up to the haunted mansion, he's making this funny joke about like, look at these huge knockers. Like, let me like hit these huge knockers. So I was just like, is this one of those like Lion King sex like symbolism things?
I wrote that down. Look at these huge size of these knockers. And I'm like, they always have to put these jokes in kids movies that could be innocent, but they're obviously not.
Mom and Dad get it.
Well, yeah. To me, that one right there, right? The knockers one, and even like the you have to whack it, I don't want to whack it thing. It's almost like the Fight Club version where Tyler Durden clips in just like one frame of something really lewd. But in this case, it's just like a line of script. It's a word in the script, but it's the same idea.
And that's how everyone would think. 2003, that's the peak of us all talking to each other in Simpsons references. So everyone's going to remember the Whacking Day Simpsons episode, which really doubles down on those jokes, you know?
We all do Jungle Cruise, the new one.
That's coming up.
There's a ton of those. There's an entire scene that if you close your eyes, they are obviously doing a dirty thing, but...
Again, this is Disney showing you what the baseline is.
Yeah.
But that's one of the curses of the podcast. When you know you're going to do the movie, you don't watch it till it's time to do the podcast.
Also, I mean, just in case it doesn't come up until later at all, this is right kind of on the tail end of Eddie Murphy's first big scandal when he got caught with, I guess, like a cross-dresser prostitute and had to pay to make this whole thing go away. But this is one of the first big family-centered movie, like a Disney movie, that he did. And there's a couple theories on why did his career kind of take a nosedive a little bit. Like around 2011, he just stopped acting entirely for a while until the Dolomite movie, I think. And he says that it was because he just like kept getting these like Razzies, but also I think he had like 7 or 8 different kids by a bunch of different moms, and like they all wanted all sorts of money. So he's just saying yes to more and more movies, a lot of these sort of kids movies, but also that might have been a PR softening angle. Like, hey, I got caught for this very adult thing and I've already paid everyone off and I'm making it go away. Now, if I double down on kid and adult movies, I can fully like make that thing go back into my past.
Well, let's look at the list here. I have it up in my face now. So he was doing stuff. Okay, Dr. Dolittle, Nutty Professor, some early ones. Beverly Hill Cop 3, Vampire in Brooklyn, not for kids. Nutty Professor, Dr. Dolittle, Bowfinger. I don't think
this was 97 that this happened, by the way. The thing where he got pulled over with the.
So he'd already done Nutty Professor, but that was it. So we'll skip Nutty Professor. Then it's Dr. Dolittle, Nutty Professor 2, Shrek, Dr. Dolittle 2. Adventures of Pluto Nash, Daddy Daycare, Haunted Mansion, Shrek 2. Okay, Dreamgirls, Norbit. He's coming out of it by 2007. Still having to do Shreks. But yeah, he kind of gives up on the kids' movies after about 2006, 2007. So it's like 10 years of that, and then we're out.
Yeah, he had to soften his image a little bit. It just had to be said because that's also going into this weird, like this movie is acting to soften Eddie Murphy's image after what were pretty scandalous in the 90s. Now he'd probably be applauded. He'd probably get extra ticket sales if it happened in the 2020s.
Well, I think we did successfully mostly forget about that. Now that you're bringing it up, I'm like, yeah, I was doing a podcast a year or two ago, and the guy actually brought it up and then sent a message like, could you edit that? It sounds like I'm being like, like something or other, right? So I did edit that little part out where he was talking about because everyone's forgotten about it. So he thought it sounded too vindictive or something. And yeah.
And funny enough, it was not just one, it was like a whole handful, but he ended up hiring a guy that's special. Like he was an ex-adult stripper that turned into a lawyer that specialized in silencing like sexual blackmail claims for all sorts of Hollywood bigwigs. I think the other big client that he had aside from Eddie Murphy was John Travolta. When someone came out and said they had like a 2-year-long sort of soiree with Travolta, it was the same guy. They called him the bag man. So it's a wild rabbit hole to go down this too. Even the girl / the the she/her that Eddie Murphy got caught with, she ends up going on to the Examiner and like, I'm going to spill these beans. She ends up falling out of a window not soon after that.
Should have just done like Hugh Grant did, would go and have Jay Leno talk to him. You know, that seemed to work for him. What were you thinking after he was caught on the side of the street with a prostitute? But you know, it's celebrities. What do you get into? You got a bunch of money, you get weird hobbies. You know, I guess that's how it works out. The most fun's always Leonard Nimoy. You know, Leonard Nimoy's hobby.
Don't ruin this for me.
I think it's kind of his hobby. Apparently, he has books published was taking nudes of large women. I'm like, okay, cool.
Okay, like R. Crumb.
Yeah, but you'd never think you'd look at Spock. You never think of that, right?
That's logical.
Yeah, it's illogical. Well, that's fine. But going through this, let's see. Mickey Mouse luck. Oh, yeah. Kneel before Butler Zod. I do like that little bit of casting. Always nice to see Terrence Stamp. I guess we'll talk about a few of the people that are in this movie. Good cast. Wallace Shawn is in here. I always like to see Wallace Shawn. Jennifer Tilly as Madame Leota.
I want to know where the somber, creepy butlers come from. Is there like a factory making these guys? Because he did it perfectly, but it's such an archetype.
Ramsley, yeah, what a weird name too.
I mean, I guess, and I think it was encoded that half of the people watching this movie probably are thinking of, you know, Zod or Terrence Stamp playing some horrible gangster or something, you know, like just that actor. You cast him because he's already got things baked in if you know him, you know. Same with Wallace Shawn. So
I think the soulless part too of these butlers, it's that you have to under respond to any crazy 7 deadly sins that your master's engaging in. If they're like gorging them, if they're, you know, engaging in gluttony or they're engaging in any of the 7 deadly sins, you kind of just have to be like, yes, master, ho hum. Like you can't have a response to one more than the other because then they feel you're being judgmental and then they kill you.
Good point. They got to roll with it stoically.
Like I am so unimpressed with what's going on. Like you could dial it up, master, and it wouldn't bother me.
See, say if it had not been Terrence Stamp, but been Malcolm McDowell, who also would have fit this role pretty well, but he might have had a little bit too much spice, not quite droll enough, you know?
Yeah, Tim Curry doesn't make as good of a butler, even though he's been a butler. Like he's a suspicious butler.
No, he needs to be a Frankenfurter if he's going to be in the Haunted Mansion, right? That's what this movie needs. Well, no, that's exactly what Eddie Murphy did not need in this movie. He did not need to make Rocky Horror.
I like how they rolled out all the classic, like peeping through a picture. The mansion, like the library has a secret passage. If you like,
this is absolutely the top thing on my bucket list. Is that before I die, I need to live in a mansion that has a secret bookshelf room that goes somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Even if it's just a gun cabinet for now, but I need to have that.
Well, actually, back to the parks. In Disney Sea, there's Magellan's, which is kind of the nicest restaurant, and it's got a big. I mentioned before. That's the sea headquarters, right? And there's a quote unquote secret door where they have to, you know, do that sort of thing, and it goes into the secret wine cellar, which also has a dining room. So that's the speakeasy door that goes on to where the sacrifices happen, I assume. Yes, basically. That's that, and actually, when I ate there, that's where they took me. So I did eat in the weird secret wine cellar. Of course, that's no cobwebs and stuff. That's nice and, you know, shiny or whatever.
I feel like they've modeled it after like Jeffrey Epstein's dungeon.
Well, it's actually supposed to look like Renaissance-y, so it would be more like Leonardo da Vinci's dungeon if he had a dungeon. I think the building next to it's called like the Leonardo Challenge or something. So that's the vibe they're going for, you know, Age of Exploration.
I actually have some random trivia for this one that I just found when I was looking up some notes. One of them is that the red sofa that we see in that library is the same red sofa from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And that also the organ that we see in this movie also comes from that movie. So Disney was kind of planting some cool little Easter eggs in there. And then when you were mentioned before, in the ride, when you're riding through and then you can see this ghost that's like sitting next to you, or a ghost that's supposed to be like your part of your reflection, They do that in this movie where Eddie Murphy walks by and he looks into this mirror, but it is one of the worst, I guess, Disney CGI zombie kind of looks, which normally you're like, okay, 2003, whatever. But they also had Rick Baker on this movie that they could have just had him do some kind of practical effects. If you don't know Rick Baker, Exorcist, American Werewolf in London, Thriller, Men in Black movie series. So they had the firepower to actually make a cool, scary Eddie Murphy. And I was wondering, is this another one of those bumpers that they put on? Like, whoa, this is a kid's movie. So if we do a cheesier CGI version that doesn't, make it look as real, versus having one of the like the American Werewolf in London is one of my favorite practical effect horror scenes, right? Where he's like transforming. So
it might be Eddie Murphy does not want to spend 8 hours in the makeup chair. I mean, really, he's like, well, you can CG it, right? Why do I need to do that?
I suppose, yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
I mean, let's be honest. If you had that star power and that was an option, you might just be like, just CG. I don't care.
I mean, again, I'm not Eddie Murphy, but I feel like it would be an honor to have practical effects makeup for like an industry legend, just to say that you did. But that's just me.
Yeah, but you got plans that evening. You don't want to have to show up early.
I gotta pick someone up from the corner later on tonight.
Yeah, really. But I'm just like, yeah. I mean, I can see like where someone like Eddie Murphy would just be like, even if he was like, that would be cool, man. I just don't want to do that. That's annoying. I mean, hell, I don't know if I don't want to do that. It might be annoying. Although, yeah, I'm like, ooh, Rick Baker. You do it once, and then 4 hours in, you'd be like, oh my God, why did I say yes to this? And obviously Eddie Murphy has done that before because he was the Nutty Professor. There we go. Maybe he's got PTSD from being the Nutty Professor and spending those 8 hours in a chair. So for one shot in the Haunted Mansion, it's like,
good point. That's actually a really good point. Yeah.
And Norbit, isn't that another one of his movies?
That's later. So he got over it at some point, I guess.
Yeah.
But and he had just made the Nutty Professor 2 when he did this, so he might have just been all makeuped out. I don't know.
But man, those are some of his most iconic roles are when he's all like dressed up in like these elaborate costumes and makeup. What isn't he also the one that turned into the white guy for like an SNL skit or something?
Oh, that's a sketch. Yeah.
Right.
That's a fantastic one. But
I mean, he's
no
stranger to having lots of makeup on.
Yeah, Nutty Professor and its sequel, obviously. Bowfinger, no, he's just weird in that one. He doesn't have the makeup. Actually, mostly is the Nutty. Okay, the Clumps. He did the Clumps. I never saw any sequels, but Norbit, tons of that. So after Norbit, it looks like he has not been in Coming to America 2. How many characters did he play in that? I don't remember.
That's recent though, right? That's a fairly newer movie.
He plays 1, 2, 3, 4 roles. Yeah. A movie I can't remember if I watched or not. Did I watch the sequel?
I think it's very new, like within the last 5 or 6 years, no?
It is. It was 2021. I watched the original recently. Maybe I watched the original instead of watching a sequel. I don't remember anymore.
It's not horrible. It's serviceable, but it's nowhere near the first one.
Right.
His Dolomite movie is actually legitimately entertaining.
I haven't seen that because I regularly rewatch Rudy Ray Moore movies, and I don't want to see Eddie Murphy. I don't know. I should watch it.
He does it justice.
Okay, I should watch it. But I'm like, well, I could put that on, or I could watch Disco Godfather, So Disco Godfather usually wins in that little lineup. Petey Wheatstraw, the devil's son-in-law. Yeah.
I just have to break the tension on this one issue too, but like maybe one of the better Disney all black movies, because clearly it's a subgenre within the offerings that they've got. This one is actually done really well, and they don't lean into it at any particular point. It just happens to be a black family going.
Well, no, you've cast Eddie Murphy. Obviously, it makes sense.
100%. But there was one scene in particular that I was like, this is that like stereotypical black comedy, but they did it in such a funny way where Jennifer Tilly is talking to him and she's like, I summon the dark spirits, and he's like, you better not be summoning no dark spirits up in here. Like, I just thought the way that he delivered this line, it was kind of hilarious.
The new one does that too with a few of the main characters. Of course, then we got Owen Wilson, Danny DeVito in there, but they do kind of keep that vibe in the 2023 one, though it is not a family. It's a bereft astrophysicist, a mother and son who are trapped, or have to keep coming back. Once you enter the door, you have to keep entering. So that concept just made the 2023 one like more interesting for me somehow. Just that one little thing like really helped for me to be interested in the movie.
Did you notice she prays to the dark spirits, and then he prays to the Wizard of Oz when he's doing his little prayer? He's like, "No place like home, no place like home."
Right, that's the second Wizard of Oz reference in this movie.
Yeah. What was the other one?
The other one was the Over the Rainbow.
You're flipping podcasts again. That was an Ava. We sometimes record these back to back. And Neon Genesis Evangelion has a ship called Over the Rainbow. So it's your second Wizard of Oz reference for today, but not for the Haunted Mansion. That said, I'm sure there's probably another one somewhere in or around the Haunted Mansion. It seems like a good place for those references, you know?
There was also another kind of 2003 dated reference in here, aside from the Nelly song that comes on at the end. But when they're describing to Jim, Eddie Murphy in this movie, what's happening to his wife, that she is essentially needs to marry the old owner of the house who thinks that she's the modern version of his dead wife. It's a little complicated. It's not that bad. But he's like, so you're telling me that some ghost wants to get jiggy with my wife? And I was just like, man, that is so directly out of the early 2000s with the Will Smith getting jiggy with it. And then I went down according to ChatGPT, a controversial rabbit hole. But I was like, where does the word jiggy come from? And long story short, it comes from the word jig, like as in dancing and stuff, and kind of being, silly and frivolous, but also that there's a relationship to like the minstrel show kind of, because there's a derogatory word that starts with the prefix jig as well, which I always thought that's what the Will Smith song was about. So then I was like, we actually have a reference to a fairly derogatory term in this Disney movie that's kind of getting slipped in. Again, just early 2000s were a different time than 2020s.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you look at children's nursery rhymes and, Ring Around the Rosie's now about the Black Plague or something, right?
Well, I think it always was. Yeah, they carry.
Oh, it always was. You just didn't know that.
Cover up the decaying flesh.
Yeah. Just as an example that barely, goes through a phase of transition or two. It is what it is,
I liked that it was adjacent to a giant spooky graveyard.
Giant graveyard. Like as far as your eye could see, there were gravestones.
I'm like, I actually want to kind of live here. Like, this looks awesome. Really, it looks peaceful.
Although it can be off-putting because, I have enough of a meditation thing. Like during my lunch break, I'll find a temple, and there's some temples like, do I want to meditate at the temple that has a very large graveyard next to it, or the one that doesn't? And occasionally, just because of practicality, you end up it's got to be the one with the graveyard. But I tend to kind of avoid that if I can.
Why? Are you gonna like eavesdrop on you?
It just feels weird. Well, a few days ago, there's this one where I go in and it's summer, so I open one of the sliding doors to try, but the wind's not coming through, so I just have to go around the other side and sit on the ledge where I'm overlooking like not quite this Haunted Mansion graveyard, but a pretty notable one. I'm like, it feels slightly weird, but yeah, I don't know. I guess is that am I being deadist? Am I being like biased against the dead in that case?
Well, you don't want them to come home with you.
No.
Are any of you guys creeped out by graveyards?
No.
My wife is.
Yeah, like, do you think if you went to a graveyard and like defaced the grave, for example, do you think there's a chance that you could get haunted or have some kind of karmic retribution?
Some bad karma. I could go with bad karma for that. Yeah.
I used to make my parents drive me through the graveyard when I was a little kid. I don't know why.
One of those dumb family games you play is, especially when we were driving through countryside areas, you would count the cows on your side of the car, and those were your cows. But if there was a graveyard on your side of the road, you lose all your cows.
I feel like that.
Yeah, can't play it in Japan so easily. Not so many cows, and not so many graveyards just on the side of the road. So there's a few. But
honestly, the scenes where they're in the graveyard, it's kind of awesome looking. It's very Oingo Boingo. It's like like Dead Man's Party, and they're all having a good time and hanging out. It doesn't look too bad.
Oh yeah,
why would you want to move on?
Because in the ride, that's the party, right? That's where everyone's singing and dancing. There is a concept here too. The farther the ghosts get away, the more dead they are. So when you get to the mausoleum, it's zombies. When they take the hurts, while LaShawn is now like spectral, where he looks human inside the mansion. So Maybe that's why the hitchhiking ghosts drag you back, because they can't go that far away.
And then there's also one evolved version of these ghosts where you just turn into a blue orb of energy, I guess.
Will-o'-the-wisp, maybe?
That's
the enlightened ghost?
The ghost ball, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they call it that too. They call it a ghost ball.
Instead of basketball, they got the ghost ball.
And I wonder, I mean, why is there just one ghost ball? What makes that ghost ball special? It didn't seem like they spelled out the different rules and the levels here.
I thought that was the mom's spirit, or the dead lady's spirit that's trying to come back.
Right, but how come all the other ghosts can, turn into like actual ghosts or turn into statues, or everyone has this other physical form except for the one person they care about?
She's kind of ghost zero, right, for the situation. Like, she was the one that kind of cursed the place, so she could be different than that. I mean, I'm just talking. I mean, it's a plot hole. Yes, I'm just
because the body has to be used by the mom. So the ghost ball needed the current body of the mom to have a form.
I also was getting Beetlejuice vibes from the plot of this movie, where the only way to unhaunt the house is to marry the guy that's haunting it, which sounds like the end of the original Beetlejuice movie.
Mm-hmm.
Have you done the second one? I haven't done the second one yet.
Well, I love both of them, honestly. A lot of people complain about the second one. I absolutely love it.
I've heard mostly good things about the second one. I just haven't gotten around to it.
I'm wondering now, between Beetlejuice and this movie, does a marriage unhaunt a house? Like, is this an actual? Because the only other version that I know from Catholicism is like the straight up coming and blessing a house, where you get a priest to go through the rooms with holy water and do the little thing.
We do that too.
But what about marriage? Like, could you just get married in a haunted house and that will unhaunt it? Do you have to marry the ghost in the haunted house?
You have to marry the ghost, obviously.
Do you want an answer?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because we're having a house blessing in 2 weeks. Our Orthodox priest is going to come, and we'll have a party.
Now, is this preventative maintenance, or are you actually trying to like remove an existing ghost?
We do it once a year, usually after Christmas time, but we have a house that we haven't had it done here, so he's just going to come and do it. But it's just like a spiritual cleansing. They do holy water, they sing songs, and they're not too worried about hauntings in the Orthodox Church, because ghosts are not real, for one, in that way of thinking. But the demons don't really have a lot of power against Christ. And you mentioned, is getting married going to unhaunt the house? So in looking at like esoteric stuff, all kinds of magic books, tantra, occult, spirit world, all that stuff, what I've sort of figured out is that sexual energy attracts spirits, right? And
are they more attracted to like extramarital relationships?
Yes.
Like once you're married? Okay.
I don't know how to explain this, but it's like the marriage covenant sort of puts a veil in between you and the spirit world, so that you have more privacy. That's the only way that I can explain it. I don't know. I don't know who to talk to about these things, but it's like there's something about that protects you, and it encapsulates this like holy experience. So that
there is some house blessing in Japan where a priest might come, and I don't think it's usually like a belief thing. It's kind of like a tradition thing. But an interesting thing is when a family is gone from the house, or dies away or whatever, people don't buy old houses. If you buy a plot of land with a house on it, chances are they're going to raise the house and build a new one. I mean, even temples, they get rebuilt like to their original specs, but most temples are not that old. They've been rebuilding this thing for 1,000 years to apparently to specs, but it's regularly rebuilt, and no one lived in your house before you.
Mm-hmm.
I
mean, families can continue.
Could I move into a house that someone died in Japan and get like pennies on the dollar?
Probably. Yeah, especially if you want to live in the countryside. There's plenty of abandoned houses that have not yet been raised because no one lives there right now. Villages that are almost underpopulated.
That's what The Ring was about, wasn't it?
Kind of, yeah. But that's the point, that house is haunted, like, because if the house remains and you don't take it down before you build your new house, chances are you're going to get haunted. Even some families I've heard, I've had a lot of students, like adult students, where like, yeah, we built a house next to my parents' house, and they'll probably tear down the parents' house when the parents die, and then maybe their grandkids end up building another house there if the family all feels like hanging around the same plot of land. Now, my wife's family house, the one I'm in here, this house was built for this family in the late 90s, I think, and they've been here since the late 90s. There's a more traditional Japanese family house with a four tatami room. That is a very old house. I found pictures of that are 100 years old, and it seems the family's been there forever. So in that case, the house is fine because it's been, like centuries of the same family there.
Did you come across the stuff about the backstory that they wanted to give the haunted house, they were going to make a TV show about it. Like, you remember he had the weekly television
Disneyland show.
Again, the plot line of Beetlejuice
2. So the Haunted Mansion was going to be an episode of this, and they had a whole thing about the Bloodmere family and their lineage and like how it haunted this house in Louisiana and how they brought this house all the way from the bayou to Los Angeles because it was a special architectural. This was like just the story they're telling you about the haunted house, right? But it was narrated by Walt himself. And they were going to call it the Architectural Conservation Project. And the story was that they brought the house to Disneyland, and then everything started to go wrong. Like, they would do work on it, and the next day they would get there and all the work they had done would be undone. It would be a mess. And so they had all of these tall tales about like carpenters disappearing and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, the house sat there for 5 years with no attraction, like at the physical park. So, which that's nice and creepy. I mean, they put a pretty banger ride in there. Would I call the Haunted Mansion my favorite ride at Disneyland? I might. It's that or the Honey Hunt. We have the Honey Hunt in Tokyo.
If we were to separate dark rides from like rides, I'd say it's my favorite dark ride for sure.
Okay. Well, how about rides since we're on the question?
I don't know, man. That new Guardians is not horrible, but honestly, because of nostalgic reasons, because I was on it like over 200 times, Tower of Terror hands down is for me a better ride than Haunted Mansion.
Okay, no, Haunted Mansion is usually like if I go to the park, unless there's a good reason not to, like, oh my god, there's no line at this one. I'll usually go to Haunted Mansion first. So
it's a nice, cool one because you get out of like the heat, and at least in Orlando, you get out of the heat and the humidity, and like you kind of get misted a little bit, and there's like AC blowing, and it's a nice break from walking around the hot park.
No, last week was pretty hot and humid in Tokyo, so that was
the last time I went to, there was like a huge group of like either Mormon or Amish girls. Like I wanted to say Amish, but I don't know what the rules are and like all the garb. But it was like the entire ride when you go into the little elevator and the walls start like slipping down, and it just made it a little bit extra creepy.
I will say in the Tokyo one, I cannot tell if the ceiling's going up or the floor, or it is an elevator. I cannot tell. So good job with that, I guess. I was trying to figure, because I know in Florida the ceiling's moving up, in California it's an elevator, and I can't tell what Tokyo is doing. So the illusion was good.
I got stuck at the top of Tower of Terror. We didn't know if it was going to break or drop or what. We were just hanging up there.
It adds to more exciting. It adds to the experience, because now you're like, I might actually get hurt now.
I was scared. Their babies were crying. Women were like, why do we do this? It was like not good.
I was also disappointed. I was 5 minutes away from getting a walk off of the scary Snow White, which we still have in Tokyo. It broke down right before I was about to get on. I was like, if it had been like 5 minutes later, I would have been in the middle of the ride. I would have been stuck there with the witch screaming at me for like 5 minutes. That would have been awesome.
I got another ghost physics question that maybe you guys have answers to, even if it's all speculative. that when they meet these busts out in the cemetery, and it's kind of a barbershop quartet, and they're singing all these different songs. But it seems that some of the songs, even for their time period, are a little bit more modern than what they would have known when they died. And it's like, how would those ghosts know about newer music? And one of the theories that I guess I've been playing around in my head is that ghosts understand technology, because like the spirit boxes that people use to like communicate with ghosts, and some of them, they're made in different ways, but some of them will whip through different radio stations, AM stations, and just play little blips of sounds. And then someone will listen to those blips of sound and try and formulate sentences and structures out of those things. But I always wondered too, does that mean that ghosts have to know how to interact with radio waves? Like they got to be computer nerd ghosts, or at least smart enough ghosts to know how to manipulate and listen to these. And that would be the only way that I think that these barbershop quartet ghosts would have been up to date, is that they can sort of perceive these radio waves, so they know what's on the radio. And I don't know, what do you think about that theory?
Well, production answer is those are the Dapper Dans, which is the barbershop quartet that's regularly on Main Street in Disneyland. So they just pulled them off Main Street and had them sing. So they probably didn't think about the vintage of the songs. They're like, Dapper Dans, Main Street, it's all old stuff, right? Do your thing.
Well, you've heard that old story about how one of the magicians from the Golden Dawn built the cathode ray tube to communicate with ghosts, and that became the television.
Who was that? Was it Farnsworth, or was it the English guy? William Crooks. I didn't know he was OTO. I know that he was a spiritualist.
Golden Dawn.
Golden Dawn.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, no.
Yeah, so that's how we got television. He was trying to, he thought that the ghost could move the particles on the other side of the screen.
This is also what Alexander Graham Bell thought. Alexander Graham Bell thought that there were spirits that were taking what I was saying and then carrying them through, wires, and then relaying them to you. That it wasn't my voice; it was a spirit carrying my voice to you.
Well, I mean, it could be like it's the same medium, medium used for different reasons. If I'm surfing on the ocean, or if I'm a squid at the bottom of the ocean, we're very different things using the same medium, right?
Good point. And the medium stuff comes up in the 2023 Haunted Mansion, if you want to shift over to that in a second.
Yeah, and the spectral photography, which was another big plus on that one. Yeah. And, at times, I would just say put on a wiki, summary that's probably good enough to follow along. I mean, it's not that complicated a movie. I
got my last note for the 2003 version, and I want to hear your guys' comparison to the 2023. The last note I have on here was that Ramsley, the evil butler, he thinks that Elizabeth is the wife, or at least he knows that that's what he needs to do, is cook the wife up. And in order to do this, he holds the kids hostage. He basically knows that they're trapped and they could be harmed. And he's like, sure would be a shame to see, these kids' ears fall into any harm. And he actually, this is the quote from the movie, he says, "It's up to you, but I really do fear for your children." So it's kind of like the decision is on you, Mom, on whether or not you want to play ball, but something bad might happen to your kids if you don't do this. And my immediate thought was, this is Disney marketing in a nutshell. It's like, hey, your kids are in danger, and we're kind of holding them hostage a little bit, us, the Disney Corporation, through influence in the media. And they have to, your kids have to go and watch these Disney movies, and they have to buy little Disney tchotchkes. Otherwise, I fear for your kids. Otherwise, they might be ostracized. So I just thought there was a perfect analogy here.
Yeah, right? You don't want weird children, do you?
Thomas, did you learn to read from those Disney books? That would be 100% if you did, because when you're saying, I was like, that's how I learned to read.
I absolutely had a telephone that you would pick up the phone and dial Mickey, or you would dial Goofy or something. I remember having that. But I learned to read through another fiction, what do they call a pictograph book?
No, I just remember my mom's story. She found me hiding behind a couch at age 3 or something, reading, because no one else my age could read. So I thought I wasn't supposed to be able to. So I was doing it in secret.
That was me, but with a Playboy.
Yeah, All Alone in My Room with my see and says. One of my favorite ones was the Three Little Pigs, too. And that wolf really scared me a lot. I don't know why.
But that's where you're saying that's like, I haven't thought about that for 4 decades plus, you know? I mean, I'm like, oh yeah, I did that, didn't I? Crazy. So that's a little insinuation of, you know, being a toddler and already having this stuff like in my craw, more or less. Which does sometimes we can sit here and talk about how objective are we? You know, we're not even sure sometimes. It's so baseline in our culture.
Well, I want to hear about the 2023 and how it compares to the 2003.
Well, it's more, I mean, I guess it has brides and stuff, but it's a little more chaste. The idea is that Crump, which is the Hatbox Ghost, technically played by Jared Leto. I was very happy that you don't really notice Jared Leto because I don't recognize his voice and you just get a flash of his face. So you don't have to deal with that much Leto. But he has to commit 1,000 people and he's at 999. He spent the past few decades luring people into the Haunted Mansion. When they die, he gets another soul.
This is how his cult works too, right?
Yeah, so he's got like 5, 6, 7 people that have become trapped, and he's waiting for one of them to die to finish because he just needs one more person.
Well, this one was a lot more scientific and technical. So it opens in New Orleans, like the other one, but this one centers around quantum physics, CERN. Astrophysicist is so I haven't seen this one in a couple years. I'm just going off my notes, but the main character, she says he's a rocket scientist, but he's an astrophysicist, right? And he creates lenses.
Yes.
Yeah. So he says he's currently working on the formula to map dark matter. And then he starts going off about quantum mechanics and says he's trying to see the unseen. So this is a little more Golden Dawn-y, technical.
Well, it's another good place for a Houdini poster, really.
Yeah, totally. And then the girl in this, she gives ghost tours. So he is the science and she is the spirituality of it.
Is that classic Scully Mulder kind of combination?
She dies though, and he kind of takes her place giving the ghost tours. Like he kind of puts the astrophysics in the back burner and is now he's doing what she did. So he's kind of gone over to the spiritualist side a few years later when the movie's proper plot gets going. It's a little more convoluted in that way, but you have to have like 8 backstories in your. Maybe at some point they wanted to make a 10-episode TV series out of this. You know, that's how things roll these days.
Now, does he believe in hauntings and ghosts at this point?
No, not until after she dies, right? And then he starts to believe maybe he can get in contact. And this is what happened during the rise of like spiritualism. What is even that word? Spiritualism. Yeah. In like the turn of the century. So you had a lot of widows that were lonely and grieving and wanting to contact their, husband on the other side. And that's like the perfect mark too for con men, is somebody who is wanting to believe that they talk to their loved one.
We get that too, though. Owen Wilson's character presents himself as a priest, but actually is a con man for what you're just saying. So we get that character in the movie as well. So a little poo-poo on the organized religion there, I guess.
Well, that spiritualist movement too, it sort of coincided in a big way with the Civil War, at least in the States, Civil War. And this is also the reason that the Ouija board kind of kicked off so quickly, is that so many people lost their husbands and brothers and sons that there was this surge in people that were trying to get closure where, your husband or your son just goes away and just never comes back. You don't hear about what happened. You don't know where they died, if they died. So the Ouija board and the spiritualism movement were kind of at like a perfect storm moment, right? Where like there was a huge demand and then someone just figured out this really nice supply for table knocking and all the other practices that went along with it.
And this is the classic, of your crystal ball too. So like Madame Leona would be from that sort of era too.
Yeah, she's like in the 2003 Madame Leona is just kind of like weird lady in a ball that becomes their pet by the end, which is kind of weird. Here she does have a little more purpose to the plot and such. So I guess that's good because I don't know that's a very memorable room in the ride. So which they do put tarot up for the Halloween overlay Halloween Christmas overlay where they do the Nightmare Before Christmas. They changed Madame Leota's room into full tarot, so maybe that's why they were flashing them at the beginning of that movie.
I just have to say they underutilized Jennifer Tilly in the 2003 version.
Yeah, they only got her head.
She's a horror movie babe, right? Bride of Chucky and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah. Well, the new one they got Jamie Lee Curtis, so same thing, right? You know. I guess that's just you want a certain type to be Madame Leota, which in the ride itself, I think it was one of the few female Imagineers in the 60s, and then her daughter does the Halloween voice. So I guess they looked real similar. So let's film her again. There is the heads in the gravestones where there was a theory once for a little while that one of them was intentionally made to look like Walt Disney. I don't know. We know they can't intentionally make things look like Walt Disney though, because they just made that robot in California. And I gotta
say again, not to go back to the first movie, but in the 2003 one, when they go and meet the barbershop quartet, the fourth head looks almost identical to Walt Disney.
I think that's a reference because the ride one does too.
Okay.
Those were my favorite, I think, when I was a kid. I really liked those guys.
I made a little... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say some of the references that they were pulling from for this ride was those old silly symphonies. Remember his like old black and white cartoons, like with the skeletons dancing?
Right.
And there was like spooky graveyard scenes. So they were trying to incorporate those old black and white first cartoons in there. And then there was one of those cartoons was actually called Four Lonely Ghosts. And it was about the ghost luring Mickey and Donald into the haunted house.
Yeah, it's not Disney, but if you want to have a really wild time, put on the early 30s Betty Boop ones with Cab Calloway and Louis Armstrong. Those are absolutely
that was
bizarre.
Snow White. That was the Snow White episode of Betty Boop.
Yeah. That's been a while. Hey, we're pretty far down this list. I don't remember what we said 3 years ago. I'll bring up 5-timer stories. No, I was just saying I'm having a little bit. I watched the 2023 one 3 nights ago, but I took the pleasure of not taking notes and just watching it, which I usually don't do for a podcast. But I was like, this isn't technically the one we're doing. So I'm just going by memory alone on that one. So who else is in that? Rosario Dawson.
So she's the single mom who has to blend with the other guy, right? The guy who lost his girlfriend.
Right.
Yeah. So
it's not like there's already a constructed family as there is in the 2003 version. No. These are all kind of like people that are a little more like lost and or broken, you know? Which
it's more of a motley crew. He's grieving, she's alone. Son is, needs a father figure. And they move into the mansion. Surprise, it's haunted. Big surprise, right?
But I do like how you end up just with this like bizarre group of people that are trapped together. Where 2003 is basically this family and the ghosts only, whereas this is like people who would not be associating probably outside of being stuck in the haunted mansion.
So like a 13 Ghosts kind of situation.
I guess so. It's been 25 years since I've seen that, but perhaps.
Is that Owen Wilson also, right? Or not? Or what's 13. The one where they're trapped in a mansion and Owen Wilson's in it and Catherine Zeta-Jones?
Oh, is that the Thai one? Or is there anything Thai?
No.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
The Haunting. That was
yes. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I kind of like that, actually. I remember people didn't, but I did. Yeah. I was going to say we get astral projection in the 2023, which Disney's been pushing that since Doctor Strange was pushing that a lot, right? So that was a Disney thing in the MCU. We're getting it in here. I've said on your podcast, I'll say astral projection's a thing. I sometimes check the phone in the morning and I realize that wasn't the real phone, that sort of thing. I thought George Lucas was dead for like a week once.
Thomas, do you remember that show we did about the occult movies?
Oh, absolutely.
And the Mysteries of Myra, they had the astral projection in that. And I was really impressed by what they were able to do way back in the.
And it wasn't just normal astral projection. They had an inventor that made an astral projection chair that sort of, it sounded just like the Montauk chair, where if you found someone that had some kind of a psychic connection, that this would amplify it in a way.
Mm-hmm. And they had that hypnotizing machine that actually really hypnotized her in real life.
Yeah, like a little MK Ultra chair. Yeah, they were way ahead of. And this was, what years were the Mysteries of Myra? This is like early 1900s.
Yeah, I can look it up. Let's see, like the 1910s or something.
I'll link that episode in the comments for anyone that's watching.
Okay, good, because I was looking for what are early examples, and I was saying there's altered states, but that's more of like a float tank sort of thing.
So
right?
Mysteries of Myra was 1916, and they absolutely talk about an astral projection like technology mixed with astral projection.
I guess in the early 20th century, though, Pete, that would have been like all the rage, right? And then kind of forgotten about for a while.
The Time Machine and all the Jules Verne stuff. And again, the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, that's all kind of in that same sphere, I think, of Victorian technology mixed with spiritualism.
Mm-hmm.
Where is spiritualism, I guess, in the modern world?
Yeah, that's the Mysteries of Myra.
Close to the pan with the thumbs. You see that?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Kind of has that Caligari, Dr. Caligari vibe, which I always dig. So,
yeah.
Are there any other big notes in the 2023 movie, or should we?
Oh yeah, for sure. So we've got the God particle they talk about, but they call it the ghost particle, and CERN, and so you've got the Catholic Church, which is Owen Wilson, Father Kent, right? And
well, he's a con man though, so
yeah. So now we're getting into like Dan Brown, Angels and Demons, CERN, punching holes in the dimensions, right? Trying to peer into the other side, like we were talking about. The quantum lens, they call it. So the hero, Ben, has to investigate Rosario Dawson's house. He doesn't believe her, and now he's possessed. And like we were talking about, the ghosts follow him home, like at the end of the ride. And I said bed bugs. What was the bed bugs in here? Was there bed bugs?
Oh, I think they were physical large bugs or something.
Okay.
Again, I'm coming at a loss because I didn't bother taking notes. So
the house traps you there, right? They go to a psychic. But one of the lore is the mansion appeared fully built, so it just appeared out of nowhere, and then all of these like crazy things were happening. 66 people died there, they say. Right?
Oh, we're at 900, 66 in the past 80 years or whatever since the attempted banishment. So in all, we're looking at 999 because they're like, oh, it's just 933. We have plenty of time. It's like, oh, that was 80 years ago. There's been 66 deaths since.
Well,
so the house has been just like mousetrapping people, cockroach Hotel Californian people.
If we've got any numerology crackpots watching, 66 is a magical number of the dark side. I don't know if you're aware of that. So that's called the number of the Qliphoth, or the dark side of the tree of life. And even in Star Wars, you hear them say execute order 66, and that's when they kill all the child Jedis. So there's your 66 right there. And then 999, I mean, what is the inversion of that? Would be 666, right?
You better not invert that.
All you have to do is turn it around. It's easy. It's easy to invert. It's one of the easiest numbers to invert. Try inverting 17. You're gonna get Lee.
I believe those were also Hitler's last words.
What? Lee?
999.
Oh.
9. So the medium, you were talking about Madame Leota. She was a medium to the elite, they said, as part of her history. And the house even had a seance room.
Secret.
As you do.
Yeah. I mean, you got to have the picture with the eyes cut out. You have to have the secret layer that you get to through the bookshelves. And you have to have your, heads
following you.
Yeah.
There's another weird thing that it wasn't in this movie, but in the early 1900s, they had like the whole living room thing was like actually had, because there was also a death room, but there was also, I guess there was, I'm gonna butcher some of this, but there was a superstition about bringing a casket with a dead body in it in and out the front door. Like it had some bad juju in it. So in some of these older houses from the late 1900s, early 20th century, they'd have this little window that was, I think, in the death room, that you would slide the casket outside of the house through this tiny little casket sized window. And all these houses had a little casket window just for this purpose.
Again, in 2 weeks from now in Japan, as of this recording, every family in Japan is going to be inviting the spirits of their dead relatives into the home for 3 days. So,
and they were called casket windows or coffin windows. That was the actual name for those.
Wow.
Like a dumbwaiter for coffins.
I assume if you had a dumbwaiter in your house, you probably had a casket window. Yeah.
Some nice old timey stuff. Things we don't have in our houses anymore. I wonder if you ask your contractor to install a casket window, how they'll respond. H.H. Holmes, there's a guy that had many casket windows for sure.
And casket doors and casket closets.
If you have a favorite serial killer, that would be mine. If that's even
Who's your favorite serial killer? Okay. Okay. Yeah, sure. That sounds like you. Well, he's got the house to go with him, you know. So
Can I say Anthony Fauci? We're allowed to say that yet?
That's not a fun one. He didn't build a house like that.
Creative, like, yeah. So I thought it was interesting that the God's representative in this movie is ineffective and shady. So that's the priest represented, by Owen Wilson. He's a con man. The real hero is science and mysticism, because she draws a Vesica Pisces to illustrate the realms of the living and the dead. I'm sure you guys know what that is, right? The two interlocking circles. There's also circumpunct on the floor, which is just a dot with a circle around it. But that is a super heavy mystical symbol. I'm sure you guys all know it's like fire, it's the sun, it's hermaphroditic, it's a lot of things.
The monad too, right?
Pythagorean monad. So there's some more serious esoteric things in the 2023 one than there was in the 2003 one. Yeah, I mean, talking about high science, quantum mechanics, CERN, stuff like that.
I guess that's what I'm bringing up with all the, recent movies with more astral projection. Maybe as a society, we are going back to spiritualism, because I know, especially 5 years ago, it's like, oh yeah, that was a big thing in the 30s. When we were talking about Snow White and stuff, oh, it's big in the 30s. People don't get that references, but maybe people are getting those references more and more. It's getting a little more mainstream, like we see in movies like the 2023 Haunted Mansion.
I think too that like the new prevalence of AI, people are starting to take AI as this new version of a crystal ball and tarot cards and, using spirit boxes.
Yes.
That could be the case. Like, yeah, I haven't messed. I'd be more likely to rock out a set of tarot cards and to do that with AI myself. But it's actually harder to do it with the cards, isn't it? I think it's more fun though.
Like we're not there yet, but pretty sure that in 10 years, if they make another Haunted Mansion movie, I guess you have to wait 20 years. Well, when they do the next one, the kids are gonna, instead of in the 2003, they got a Nokia phone, right? I assume in the 2023, they probably have a smartphone. In the next iteration, they'll probably have like their little AI device. They'll be like using AI to communicate with ghosts. Yeah. It just seems like a natural progression.
Don't hold your breath for a new Haunted Mansion. The 2023 had a budget of $150 million and a box office of $117.5. They put this thing out not at Halloween, but right against Barbenheimer for some reason. So, oops. But yeah, this it has a pretty bad reputation. So again, that's why I was like, let's do 2003, which makes sense. That one is kind of becoming a new hocus pocus for a lot of people. But yeah, after, like you said, there's so much more esoteric stuff in the 2023, and it was kind of a little more watchable, I thought.
in the future, the kids are going to have pocket particle colliders.
Ooh, CERN in your pocket.
Yeah. So you can.
Is that a CERN in your pocket, or?
Yeah.
You'll have 1,000 particle colliders in your pocket.
Who
knows when the world ends? The world ends.
I don't know. There's got to be a dirty joke in there somewhere. Like particles colliding.
Particle collider in your pocket. Are you happy to see me?
So the dude had too many seances in his house, and he opened the floodgates to the ghost realm, and hundreds of spirits came through, but not his dead wife. The only one he wanted.
So he didn't have to kill 933 people. They just came straight there. Okay, I missed that point. I was going with a much more violent version of this.
By his own dead wife.
66 murders. Still makes him a serial killer from beyond the grave, like Freddy Krueger. But
the ghost tried to get him to unalive himself. Oh, here's the numbers. 933 souls trapped sets the demon free. 933 plus 66 equals 999. They astral project into the ghost world, and they find out he feeds off grief. Oh, that's so spooky.
Who feeds off what?
He feeds off grief.
So it's not like that.
So like earlier grill.
Not like the earlier ghost into extramarital affairs. He's into grief.
Yeah, it's not a nice dead mommy. It's like an archdemon that eats your loosh.
Yeah, basically in the 2003, it's the butler, right? It's the Terrence Stamp guy, and in this one, it's CGI Jared Leto.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if you're a ghost that feeds off grief, is this like a living person with daddy issues? Like if not enough people grieved at your I guess your funeral, that now you're like forever searching for enough grief to fulfill like a hole in your dead body.
It's like the opposite Anunnaki thing. I need to be a god. You need more than 50 names, and the more names people give you, the more they're thinking about you, right? Maybe I'm up to 5 names myself. A little while until we get to godhood.
That's kind of like archonic, right? The archon.
Oh yeah. I guess Jared Leto, the Hatbox Ghost. I guess I'll call him by or Crump, was that his name? But he's kind of an archon of this house at least. And there's an astral zone and all of that. Yeah. So it's archon and Gnosticism in miniature, maybe.
He's a ghost who haunts other ghosts. Check this out. His name is Alistair Crump, son of real estate tycoon Addison Crump, who was a cruel man. Alistair had his Gatsby era, but he killed people and blood sacrifice.
I wonder if they're referencing any people.
Yeah, Alistair Crumpy.
Yeah.
Alistair Crumpy. Yeah, there we go.
Alistair Crumply.
I guess he's just so goofy looking, like the photo you showed or the drawing you showed earlier. He's even in this, he looks kind of goofy. So it's maybe they did need to make him a little more terrifying to really work properly.
Well,
but then he's got to look like the Hatbox Ghost. So
how dark is this? He's trying to get this little kid to unalive himself so that he can see his dead father again.
Yeah. Also, here's a weird thought. Why is Disney putting so much on the Hatbox Ghost? Are you guys familiar with the Hatbox Ghost sort of trajectory? Like it was in the original attraction for like 2 weeks or something. It didn't work. So they took it out and they put it back in for like Disneyland's 50th. So shortly before they made this movie. So, and they put, you probably saw it. I think they put it in Florida now. So I don't get it in Tokyo.
In Florida, yeah.
Oh yeah, he's in Florida. He's not in Tokyo, so I haven't seen him. He's in merch
too. You'll see him in a lot of the little postcards and little keychains and stuff.
Right. So in the past,
leading character in that.
In the past 10 years, they're really doubling down on that character. Again, Tokyo, you come out, there's no gift store, which I think is not the case in America now. So nothing about him in Tokyo. But yeah, it seems like the American Disney's really doubling down on the Hatbox Ghost for their Haunted Mansion iconography.
So I have a quick little trivia for you. It says that the original animatronic for the Hatbox Ghost appeared in the Haunted Mansion in 1969, but was quickly removed due to the effect not working properly. And then I guess it was absent until 2015 when they added a new Hatbox Ghost for the 60th anniversary.
Right. And then they added the Florida a few years after that. So you got to experience that. But yeah, anyway, just interesting that they're really doubling down on that for some reason. Like that's their icon now.
I think they should blend the Hall of Presidents with the Haunted Mansion. Just saying, they're right next to each other anyways in the park.
Yeah, for sure. Just What would you do with the presidents, though? I'm just thinking of putting ghouls and having them stand up and like slightly nod you and stuff. That'd be fun.
Well, when Hillary Clinton dies, her ghost can come and like suck the soul out of the children or something.
There's a YouTube video of the Hall of Inaccurate Presidents where it's just they've replaced the audio, so it's a bunch of like BS names that they stand up and nod you and stuff, and that get progressively weirder. Yeah, so recommend for the Hall of Inaccurate Presidents. You guys have anything else on either movie, really? 2003, 2023. I guess we didn't really need to bring the Muppets into this, but I do enjoy the Muppets, so just shout out Muppet one more time.
The last thing I had from the 2023 one was that in the end, it's the mediums that come together to defeat evil Crump, and not God in the form of Owen Wilson and the priest.
And some of them stay. They make a big point that some of the ghosts they can leave now, and some of them they like it there. So that's not very Gnostic. I feel like if you're getting out of the Gnostic trap, you don't want to go back in or stay.
Yeah, the other ghosts become friends with the living, so now they have weakened the veil between the worlds, which is what a lot of conspiracy theorists say that CERN is doing.
I think it seems logical that some ghosts would still stay, because the same way that you've got living people that are very materialistic and, don't give any thought to the afterlife, that in the afterlife, you'd probably have someone similar that's like they're obsessed with the pleasures and the abilities of being in the afterlife, and they also don't want to move on. Like it probably is fractal, probably just goes on for levels and levels and levels. And it's like, at what point of your many different deaths and afterlives is the one that you're comfortable with, and like you don't keep fishing around for a new one?
The 2003 one definitely pushes against like reincarnation ideas, because even Eddie Murphy is like, it's one time around on the circle or whatever, and that's it, right? Like they really kind of push the life, ghost, and that sort of thing. Kind
of, but then also the main plot is that the wife, her body can technically be re-inhabited by a ghost of someone that looked like her, and that sort of seems like a version of reincarnation / possession.
But they're made to be distinctly different. It's like, okay, get out, I want my wife back. And I was just seeing an article last week talking about how while there are a lot of genetic markers and differences, there is only a specific set, and there are a few people that are going to look like you and have similar responses to like diseases and stuff, So that's just a given that someone out there. I remember when I was 13 years old at the Philmont Scout Ranch, and there was a guy that looked exactly like me eating a ham. I didn't touch him and see if time rules applied or not. But
doppelganger.
Yeah. But I was like, that guy looks like my doppelganger. So, in Japan, I don't run across this problem as much. But
clones are like, go ahead.
I have students like brothers where one is 7 and one is 9, and sometimes maybe because the genetic pool is a little smaller in Japan, if there's only one of them, I can't tell which one it is because they're not next to each other. When they're next to each other, one's clearly 2 years older, so it's easy. But if I just there's been a few times where I just see one of them, I don't know which one it is because genetically they're similar, even though they're not twins. They're brothers 2 years apart. But yeah.
Did they happen to mention if Eddie Murphy's wife was a descendant of the old guy's wife, or because they were identical?
I'm not sure.
Or was she just?
I didn't pick up that they were actually related. They almost imply that they just looked very similar, and that even that part's not clear until you get about 2/3 into the movie, where you're like, oh, she looks almost identical to this lady. Because originally it starts with a phone call where they say they saw her face and she just had a trustworthy face. And at first I was like, if we're still talking late 19th, early 20th century, this is phrenology. Like this old, aristocratic guy is like, I like the shape of her skull. Like we can trust her.
But then the similar genetic markers would, the same chance they might, or similar chances they'll get like this kind of illness or something, So, although I don't think the phrenology, obviously, that didn't hold. But genetic markers are genetic markers. So who knows what that means? I don't. I'm not a geneticist. I guess we should start wrapping this one up today. Should we enter Plugland?
Yeah, I'll let Jamie do the honors.
Sure. My name's Jamie Hanshaw Dyer, and you can find me on YouTube under my name. And we just actually got done doing Pinocchio and Hunchback of Notre Dame. And we are going to be talking about mystery schools and micro cults next time.
Ooh, micro cult sounds doable. Like I don't have to dedicate as much time in my life.
Yeah.
If I have my own thing, is that a micro cult? Can I be a micro
That's
cult
what
of
I'm getting
one?
at, is that
Okay.
a lot of these alternative journalists are actually micro cult leaders.
Ah, okay. What fun.
It sounds like a new Silicon Valley trend too. Like I'm going to start micro culting on my way to work.
Microdose in your micro cult.
Microdose enough, you want to start your micro cult. I like that.
I'll step up and do the next plug. If you, I'm going to go ahead and link the rest of the episodes that Jamie's been on with Occult Disney. I've also been on her show. I think we talked about Mary Poppins at some point. So I'll have all those links down there. Also, you should absolutely check out our new series that I put on YouTube on Saturdays. Matt puts them out almost immediately. It's called Cartoon Cabal. Right now we're doing Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is an anime about fallen angels and using mech suits to put dead Nephilim bodies in so that they can fight these other Nephilim. It gets crazy. In the original Adam, they find like a little human fetus. It's kind of crazy, but you should go and check out Cartoon Cabal either on podcast or go to the Paranoid American podcast. And speaking of, you can find links to all these things at paranoidamerican.com.
And I was going to ask you, Thomas, if you want to do a show with me soon. I know we had talked about Mormonism, but I found this paper about how much Aleister Crowley admired Joseph Smith. So let's talk about that.
Oh, 100. Yeah, this is a thread that I am so fascinated with. I absolutely love Mormons because it's also uniquely American.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Okay, well, I'd love to bid you all good day today, but you have now become the 1,000th soul this podcast has consumed.
Ready for a cosmic conspiracy about Stanley Kubrick, moon landings, and the CIA? Go visit nasacomic.com.
NASAcomic.com, CIA's biggest con. Stanley Kubrick put us on, that's why we're singing this song. I'm NASAcomic.com, go visit NASAcomic.com. Go visit NASAcomic.com. Yeah, go visit NASAcomic.com. Oh, NASAcomic.com, CIA's biggest con. Stanley Kubrick put us on, that's why we're singing this song. I'm NASAcomic.com, go visit NASAcomic.com. Go visit NASAcomic.com. Yeah, go visit NASAcomic.com.
Never a Straight Answer is a 40-page comic about Stanley Kubrick directing the Apollo space missions.
Yeah, go visit NASAcomic.com.
This is the perfect read for comic, Kubrick, or conspiracy fans of all ages. For more details, visit nasacomic.com.
Paranoid. Yo. I scribble my life away, driven to write the page. Will it enlighten your brain? Give you the flight, my plane, paper the highs ablaze. Somewhat of an amazing feel when it's real to real. You will engage it. Your favorite, of course, the Lord of an arrangement. I gave you the proper results to hit the pavement. If they get emotional, hey, maybe your language, a game, how they playing it well without Lakers. Evade them, whatever the cost, they are the shapeshift. Snakes get decapitated, met is the apex. Execution of flame you out, nuclear bomb distributed at war, rather gruesome for eyes to see. Max them out, then I light my trees. Blow it off in the face, you're despising me for what though? Calculated and rather cutthroat. Paranoid American must be all the blunt smoke for real. Lord, give me a day away, vacate. They wait around to hate whatever they say. Matters not in the least bit. We get heavy rotate when a beat hits, so thank us, you're welcome. Fuck the niggas for real, you're welcome. They ain't never had a deal, you're welcome. Man, they lacking appeal, you're welcome. Yet they doing it still, you're welcome.